Am I the asshole for kicking my homophobic mom out of my wedding reception? Edit, update. So first, if I want to make an apology. I fucked up when I referred to genders in my post by saying there are only two. I'm not going to edit it, just so people can see what I put originally. But no, I didn't mean any harm when I wrote that. But to anyone who I offended, and just everyone in general, I'm sorry I made that mistake. For the update, it's not a great one, also long, so sorry in advance. I decided to take some of your suggestions, thanks to everyone who commented, and I made plans to see my mom today to talk. I met her in her hotel room and asked her why she said what she did at the reception. She said she'd always hated the fact I'd dated women and was happy whenever she heard from a relative if I was dating a guy, since we'd fallen out of contact for a few years. I was super confused. Since the first time I'd ever gotten a girlfriend she was happy for me, but she said she just didn't want to see me upset about how uncomfortable it made her feel. And like some people pointed out, she is a bit of a conservative person. She was raised in a southern state, so it makes sense, I guess, the way she feels. But I was kind of disappointed. A part of me wishes she could have just told me how she really felt, but I know it's not an easy thing to do, obviously. I guess what pissed me off though was that she was apparently so nervous about the wedding and seeing me again, she decided to pre-drink. Like a bottle of wine before the ceremony even started. So by the reception she was plastered. Which wasn't great to know, that my mom was drunk during my wedding. She also barely remembers the fucking ceremony and the reception too. She only was able to know what happened yesterday because my stepdad filled her in. I wound up telling her I appreciated her coming to the wedding, the whole situation aside, and that I think I needed some space. I'm about to go on my honeymoon anyway tomorrow, so, yeah. I don't know. I guess I'll see what the next few weeks bring. Also, lots of people commented on my sexuality. To keep it brief and under the character limit I just put demisexual initially since that was the one I identified most with. But I technically am demi-bi if that makes sense. That's why I'm okay with women, too. So the title might make it seem obvious what the verdict is, but some of my family think I was way out of line, so here I am. For context, I'm F28, demisexual, and have dated both genders before. I actually have dated, fallen in love with more girls, which will be relevant. My parents divorced when I was in my senior year of high school, and I came out to both of them on separate occasions after that. Both of them took it well, I think. Anyway, I kind of fell out of contact with my mom. She remarried and had a new family, while I was at uni in another state. Things got busy. It wasn't until last year that she called me out of the blue and wanted to start talking again. I was more than happy to do so since she's my mom and I'd missed her. We filled each other in on each other's lives and things were good. Anyway, I've been with my current husband, 29M, for 3 years and we got married yesterday. The ceremony went amazingly. It wasn't until we got to the reception that things went south. My mom wanted to make a speech. I had asked her if she wanted to originally, and she'd said no, so I was surprised but happy she'd changed her mind initially. So our MC passed her the mic. Things started off real sweet. She was complimenting my and hubby's relationship, how she knew we were perfect for each other, etc. Then she essentially said, "I'm so glad Op decided to settle down with a man. I was so disappointed she'd marry a woman and make things hard on herself." I saw red. I was so pissed. Never once had she told me she didn't like me dating women, and the place she decided to air her grievances was my wedding of all places. When she finished, I had my stepdad help me bring her out to the lobby of the hotel where our reception was. Turns out she was drunk off her ass. I just didn't notice since I hadn't really spoken to her all day. She wasn't really involved in a lot of the wedding planning because we live in different states still and COVID restrictions were pretty tight, and to be honest, we're still not really close. Seeing that, I basically told my stepdad to take her to their hotel room, in the same hotel, and to stay away from the rest of the reception. My mom started crying hearing that and apologizing, but I was too mad to listen. I guess seeing I was serious, her husband listened and took her out. I was able to go back and enjoy myself for the rest of the day, but I was still pretty mad. Later, a lot of my family said it was cruel of me to treat my mother that way. That she's my mom and deserves to be there for my wedding. They called me an awe, and said I should apologize. Dad and hubby think I was in the right, but part of me thinks I was too hard on her. My mom doesn't have a history of being a bad drunk or anything, so it was a definite one-off occasion, but I don't know. I feel torn. So am I the asshole? Not the asshole. This was an excellent, if difficult, response from you. It sets a boundary with her of what will not be tolerated by you. What if you had let her stay? Was she going to continue to air her drunk opinions to all the guests throughout the evening, causing you stress? Anyone who is drunk at an event where they start behaving badly should be removed to sober up. And your mother behaved abominably. Not the asshole. She aired her ignorance and your personal business to everyone there. What if you weren't out to everyone? The whole, mom deserves to be there, shit is stupid. Blood doesn't matter. You choose your family and you sure as hell choose who you want at your wedding. I wouldn't want a homophobic mother at mine giving a speech about how she's happy I married a woman instead of a man. What my version would be. Edit. I'd like to add on that it may not be homophobic, but she said she'd be disappointed if you had married a woman, not worried about your safety, or otherwise, which is why I assumed homophobia. Also, ignore the couple comments saying it isn't homophobic for her to have a preference. She doesn't get to have a preference for what gender you date, she doesn't. Not the asshole. She was drunk off her ass and saying offensive things that offended not only you, but likely other guests as well. Sit down and talk with her once you're calm and she's sober, but it's your wedding and you and your spouse get to determine who is and isn't a guest at it and events surrounding it. Congratulations on your wedding and I hope things go better in the future. Not the asshole. Actions have consequences. Your mother said something homophobic at your wedding and got herself kicked out. She should be apologizing to you for pulling that shit at your wedding. Not the asshole. I'd forgive her, after she apologizes when sober, because it sounds like she was drunk and her reasoning was more, I want my daughter to live a life with as little discrimination as possible, instead of, I am against my daughter's sexuality, but still, that was terrible of her to bring up at your wedding, and you acted correctly at the moment. And you have nothing to apologize for. Not the asshole. Homophobia isn't something that we should tolerate. Even if she was drunk and it was just that time, it was your night and she was ruining it. You were also pretty mad so her presence would be annoying for you anyway. I think you would be the asshole if you still don't want to talk to her and listen to her apologies. But I think it was the right decision for that night and I would probably do the same. Sorry for my broken English. Cruel of you to treat your mom that way? Cruel of her to almost ruin your fucking wedding. Let's hope your family members gain some goddamn perspective. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your mom isn't homophobic, she is straight up homophobic, no quotes needed. Actions have consequences, and one of the consequences of making a homophobic speech at your demisexual daughter's wedding is getting thrown out. And while it is expected, not guaranteed, for a mother to be invited to a wedding, that invitation can be rescinded at any time. Am I the asshole for leaving my bachelorette party and telling my Mo to stop living vicariously through me? I, 27F. Got engaged to my fiancée in December 2019. Around the same time as my BFF Chelsea, 27F. We decided that we'd be each other's maid of honor. Chelsea and her ex split up shortly after the engagement because he cheated. My fiancée and I started planning a laid-back fall wedding a couple months ago. I asked Chelsea if she was still up to being Mo, she excitedly said yes. A few days later, she sent me a list of dates for a wedding shower at the place hers was originally scheduled at. I told her we weren't planning on a shower because a lot of our friends, family were hit hard by the pandemic. She was upset but let it go. Something similar happened with the dress shopping. She had a list of places ready to go. I told her I wanted my friend, who is a seamstress, to make the dress. She convinced me to go shopping anyway, then ended up trying a lot of the dresses herself. I was weary when she mentioned a bachelorette party, but she presented plans that seemed perfect. A hike, a nice dinner, then a drive-in movie with my dog. I agreed. She picked me up on Saturday but instead of driving to the park we were supposed to hike in, she took me to a lake house. My heart dropped because I knew she'd planned a house party. Lo and behold, I walked in and my bridesmaids were there, as well as the women who I suspect Chelsea would have picked as bridesmaids. There was also a lot of liquor. I don't drink. My mother is an alcoholic and I want to avoid the same fate. While I don't mind being around people who are drinking, it's uncomfortable and depending on the situation, triggering. When I walked in, half the people there were already drunk. To make matters worse, Chelsea neglected to tell me until 9 p.m. that she planned to stay the night. My fiancé was out of town and I had no one to watch my dog. Chelsea said, "He'll probably be okay, it's only one night." Long story short, my future brother-in-law came and picked me up and took me home. I didn't tell Chelsea myself, she was trashed at that point, and asked one of my bridesmaids to. Yesterday, I woke up with 20+ texts and calls from Chelsea and a few others asking where I was and if I was okay. I texted Chelsea back, who told me she was headed to my place to talk. As soon as she walked through the door she started berating me, telling me she put so much effort into that party and I was so ungrateful. She told me that she wished I were a normal bride. Admittedly, I thought she was coming to apologize, and I lost my shit. I told her I'd been walking on eggshells and compromising so I didn't hurt her feelings but I wouldn't anymore, and that she needed to stop living vicariously through me and planning what she'd want for her own wedding. She called me a bitch and a bad friend and left. We haven't spoken since. So Reddit, am I the asshole? Edit. Wow, this got way more attention than I had anticipated. Thank you everyone, and also for the awards, though please save your money for something else. I can't respond to everyone, but I do want to clarify a couple things. 1. Chelsea is aware of my relationship with my mother, we've been friends since we were children. I asked for a party with no alcohol specifically. 2. I do not mean to trivialize what happened to Chelsea, it was traumatic and definitely left its mark. But I have also been there for her through it. I was the shoulder she cried on, the person she called, the best friend I could be. When I approached her about being Mo again, it had been over a year since they split up and she seemed to be in a good mental place. She assured me that she was ready and I believed her because I trusted her. And the other option would have been to essentially say I replaced her because I think she's too broken to do the job, which would have been hurtful, as well. Not the asshole. I can forgive the dress shopping. That's not that big of a deal and understandable. But that fact that she lied about the bachelorette party is not okay. She knew you didn't drink yet made that a main focus. And then didn't let you know that she wasn't going to give you a ride home, which would harm your dog and inconvenience your bill. She's out of line. I'd honestly demote her from Mo. She clearly can't handle it after not getting her own wedding. She needs to take several steps back and stop sabotaging your special events. Not the asshole, but you definitely should have had a hard conversation with her before the bachelorette party when it reached that boiling point. Not the asshole. She took you somewhere without your permission with no planning around you, the bride, and you had to find your own way home. So brutal. This girl is so selfish, and if she doesn't realize that you are better off without her. Not the asshole. It would have been kind of iffy up to the point where she stranded you at the lake house and showed no consideration of your dog. That is uncalled for. Not the asshole. Since you're BFFs, she has to know how you feel about alcohol. That was a shit move, subbing a party for the agreed on low-key hike. And the dog is not just an afterthought. Might want to rethink the Mo. In retrospect, it probably would have been wise to have dropped a message that you were going just for their peace of mind, but nah, you're not the asshole. Could you have been more tactful and handled it earlier? Sure. But it's easy for anonymous Reddit person to say that from the outside. It's your wedding coming up, not hers. Why is she denying you what you want for your wedding? She should have made you feel special on your bachelorette party and probably should have known better than to make it a messy booze fest, especially given what you've started. I hope that she'll come to her senses and apologize, but I find that most people who are confronted with the ugly side of themselves generally don't. Not the asshole, although I'm sure she had good intentions. It sounds like she got way ahead of herself and allowed her own wants to take precedence over yours. Overall, she acted very poorly. Hopefully, she comes around, apologizes and just starts to listen to what you want, instead. Not the asshole. If Chelsea was that drunk she wouldn't even remember you leaving if you told her, and if you did she probably would have made a scene. Also, it's very clear she's trying to live her bridal shower through you. Am I the asshole for being pissed at my future son-in-law? My soon-to-be son-in-law has been staying with us for 2 months now. In fact, he doesn't have any plans since his mother doesn't want to pick him up because they live out of state. I was fine after my daughter pleaded and asked for my husband and daughter to help him, but we feel like he's really pushing and taking advantage of us. First, the bills increased by so much since he's here. I'm trying to be fine with it, but the extra raised prices that I have to cover is just not what I expected. On top of having to pay for his food as well, since he says he doesn't like my cooking. The last straw was when he was poking around in the garage for whatever reason. He ended up breaking a part of the garage door, so it wouldn't open. Soon-to-be son-in-law says he wasn't trying to break it, but he can't pay for it. I had to pay for close to $100 for it to be fixed, because he broke it along with our agreement. I said he wouldn't have to worry about the cost as long as he was present to let the hired worker inside the garage, and I'd give him the money to hand to him. Not only did he tell the worker to come back later, he says he lost the money, and I basically lost twice that money. I was charged a comeback fee because we were considered a no-show. Anyways, it was due to all this that I just feel like I can't handle this upside-down turned living situation anymore. His mother has been not responding, and I'm pretty sure that's a sign he's gonna be living here for a while. My daughter is also a teenager and says she felt uncomfortable when he'd barge into her room at random times or while she slept. The whole family called for a family meeting to address this with my other daughter and her fiancé. They said we'd be bitches to just turn our backs on family and said to just deal with it. I've been looking into legal aspects to get him removed or have his mom get him because I don't think my husband or younger daughter can handle it anymore, and that's when future Sil and daughter both started crying. Am I the asshole? Am I really the asshole here? I'm trying to have sympathy, but this guy is literally in his mid-20s and doesn't work, so I've had to make up for that. Edit to break down on everything that's happened as I won't be able to respond to comments while I handle things. My younger daughter said he'd go into her room without notice, only to ask for random things. Such as asking for a snack, if she wanted to play a game, if she could clean something, etc. She said it didn't bother her at first, but she felt at some point he was getting lazy, and even when he'd wake her up at 12 a.m. to ask if he could have her bag of chips or because the dog made a mess. I spoke to a few legal consult who all gave me different advices. So I tried to do what they all said, as some also said to try not to escalate things. And for the people saying that I'm letting my daughter marry the guy, I have no say in what she does since she's an adult, and she's clear on going through with it no matter what. I know since she's been with the guy she's being too caring of his mental health issues, but it hurts at the same time to watch someone be in love with someone who is doing all this. I always wish her the best and I will be there for her, but she said she's going through with the marriage regardless of everything. It wasn't till after these I had to wait on all these legal consults to get back to me on being careful about what to do. The money I lost probably won't be gained back as they said it's not a significant sum, which bummed me out, so it sucks seeing the guy get away with things. Not the asshole. He's stealing from you, mooching off of you, breaking your property, and most importantly, making your other daughter feel uncomfortable in her own home. Kick his ass out. Where is your other daughter? Why isn't she handling her fiancé? So many red flags here. You are not the asshole. Your Sil is staying with you, offering no financial or otherwise relief to the fact he's staying there, has lost money you gave him, has cost you money multiple times because of his own carelessness and stupidity. And he has the audacity to say he doesn't like your cooking? Crack on then, dude, you can be the short order chef for a week. Also, he walks into your daughter's room while she's asleep? I would be getting a lock for that door sharpish and explicitly telling him, in front of his fiancé, that he is not to step foot in that room. He's an ungrateful git from the sounds of it. Not the asshole. You really needs to get him out ASAP. Not only is he ungrateful, he is barging into your younger daughter's room. Way not good. Not the asshole. Son-in-law is the asshole. Not only did he tell the worker to come back later, he says he lost the money, and I basically lost twice that money. He sounds like a thief. He lost it when he kept it for himself. Also, your daughter sounds like an idiot. In what world would it be okay to marry a bum who doesn't contribute and leech off people who aren't even their own parents? What is wrong with her? If you want to marry them, then find a place with just the two of you. No parent is obligated to shelter two spoiled adult kids. This marriage sounds like a shit show. You should have never let this happen. Never agree to an unemployed bum to live with you. That is just a stupid mistake. Will create problems and take none of the responsibility. That is what a parasite does. Not the asshole. Get him the hell out. Maybe he will start to grow up once he keeps getting kicked out of home after home. His own mother does not want him. And no, you never have to put up with a thief and someone who destroys your property. You don't have to put up with anyone you don't want to. Your house, your rules. Your house is a place for peace and recharge and should not be a daily battleground. Squatter's exactly what he is. My daughter is also a teenager and says she felt uncomfortable when he'd barge into her room at random times or while she slept. You need to kick him out right this second before he assaults her. Not the asshole. You have every right to kick him out for everything else too, but this makes it urgent. You can't let him sleep even one more night here. Make sure you take back his keys and be careful that your older daughter doesn't sneak him back in. Not the asshole. Seems like you've now realized why his own mother doesn't want him anymore. He clearly isn't trustworthy given what happened with the garage door and him barging into your daughter's room. Kick him out immediately before something worse happens. How old is your future Sil that his mom has to come get him? How irresponsible is this young man? How is your child marrying someone so disrespectful to you and your home? There are so many effed up things going on here that no, you are not the asshole for being pissed off. Sounds like there's a lot going on here you're not telling us though. Am I the asshole for refusing to attend family dinners? Few months back, it was my dad's birthday and we usually gather at my sister, 37F's place for dinner. It consists of my dad, sister, brother-in-law, 36M, brother, 35M, brother's girlfriend, 27F, and me, 25F. This time round, I informed my sister that I'll be bringing my girlfriend, 26F, home. My sister then told me that my brother just wants this dinner to be for family. He ended up bringing his girlfriend. I commented loudly across dinner that I thought this was just a family thing, and everyone ignored that and continued with dinner. I then turned to his girlfriend and apologized, saying that I thought no girlfriends were allowed since I was told not to bring mine along and that I had nothing against her being here. After dinner ended and they left, my sister chided me for the remark and told me that I have to give my brother time to come around to this. I told her it's unfair that his girlfriend is okay but mine isn't. She then changed tune and said that my dad wouldn't be okay with it and this dinner was for him. Next day, I called my dad and told him that I'd like to introduce my girlfriend to him. We picked a date where my brother was at work, they lived together, and we were very excited. I made sure to tell my dad 3-4 times that she's my girlfriend, not a female friend, and he replied, "Do you think I'm thick? I have friends who are like you too." I told him that next dinner, she'll be coming along. Next dinner I told my sis that dad gave the go-ahead and so I'd bring my girlfriend along. Unsure of what to expect, my girlfriend and I came up with a code word. At any point in time if we felt uncomfortable, just drop that and we'll leave. Dinner wasn't hostile but my brother, his girlfriend and my brother-in-law just treated both of us as non-existent. Straight up ignored us and didn't even reply when my girlfriend tried making conversations with them. We were the first to leave and I apologized to her for their behavior. When we got home, my sis texted me to give my brother more time to come around and that we have to go at his pace because he's uncomfortable. I was fed up and told her it's not my job to shield him from discomfort and as a 35-year-old man 10 years my senior, I shouldn't have to be the bigger man and give in to him. She then told me I was being really rude to which I retorted that ignoring my girlfriend was ruder. I ended it by telling her that I'm sorry my brother's so narrow-minded, that a grown man can still be so immature and since it made them so uncomfortable, I'll no longer bring my girlfriend over for dinner because I won't be attending it either. My sis tells me to stop being childish and that I am selfish for skipping family dinners. My girlfriend also asked me to go without her but I refused to. I can't change my brother's mindset so the next best thing I can do is to remove us from that environment. Am I the asshole? Edit. I'm in a same-sex R.S. with my girlfriend, sorry for any confusion. Edit 2. Thank you everyone. I'm overwhelmed in the best way possible. Being surrounded by group chats where everyone tells me I'm overreacting made me second-guess myself so much. I'm gonna be firm in my decision and come what may, I'm proud of standing up to them for my girlfriend. Not the asshole at all. Your brother and sister are definitely ta. It's a bit pathetic of them to behave like this in 2021. Personally, I'd keep going and let the brother stay home if he is so easily offended by people being happy together. Not the asshole. You are under no obligation to spend time with bigots. Not the asshole. I think you're being very wise. To paraphrase Dan Savage, as an adult the only leverage you have with your family is your presence. If they want you around, they treat you and your partner decently, otherwise you won't be present. It's a gentle but very fair boundary, so stick to it. Kudos to you for protecting your partner. Not the asshole. It's perfectly reasonable to avoid an environment that discriminates against you and somebody you love. If possible I'd look into other ways you can still see the parts of your family that are more accepting. You shouldn't have to miss out on loving relationships because of a few people's shish-t behavior. Not the asshole. LMFAO. If she wants more homophobes than lesbians at her table she's free to them. But I hope you make an effort to still have a semi-regular dinner with dad. I do love the idea of your dad not knowing your sister said he was the one with the problem, being like, yes, a girlfriend. I get it. Yes. A romantic partner that is your girlfriend, like the potion for Kuzco. Not the asshole. Dude honestly needs to grow up. She could possibly be your wife in the future, he can't ignore her forever. Not the asshole. Live prosperous free of bigotry. Bless both of you. Not the asshole. The most important person, your dad, is okay with your girlfriend. I'd skip the family dinners altogether and just visit dad. You and your girlfriend don't need the kind of negativity your brother brings you.